Hello and welcome to Life at the Chocolate Factory. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about why I became vegan and whether or not some lives are worth more than others. And I just want to start by saying that this is a really difficult episode for me to record. I've had a really heavy day because I lost my soul cat, December, yesterday. I knew that this was coming. She was 15. I just didn't know it would come this suddenly. And I knew it was going to be hard, but I never thought it was going to be as difficult as it is, knowing that I'll never be able to hold her again, to see her sunbathe in the garden. It's just really, really hard. And I wanted this episode to be a tribute to December, and that's why I'm recording it today. And I just want to start by telling you a bit about December. I lost my cat Grednos when I was 14. I was completely devastated, and a couple of weeks after we lost her, my mom took us to a cat shelter just to hang out with the kittens. And there were so many kittens there, but I just saw this little chubby white marshmallow under a drawer, and she was not social. She was so shy. And I just looked at her and I was like, Mom, I want to adopt her. And my mom was like, no, we didn't come here to adopt a cat. And I was like, Mom, I really want to adopt this cat. And my mom and my sister were like, there's so many social cats out here. Why do you want to adopt that one? And I was like, I just really want to adopt her. And so a week after that, we came back and we took her home. And she was literally the best kitten ever. She was so chubby, and it was funny because when we took her to the vet, they were like, you're feeding her too much, and we're like, no, we're not. I mean, we just took her in. She's a rescue. We don't know why she's chubby, and she was chubby her entire life. And we did try to put her on a couple of diets, but then we just gave up because we're like, maybe that's just her body type. And so we spent 15 amazing years together, and she really was my soul cat. She took me through the most difficult times of my life, and it's insane the connection that I had with this cat. Whenever I would get upset or we'd argue in the house, she would come up and start screaming. She would like get in the middle of people. She would sit on my knee. It was just like, she was so healing. And I'm so grateful to have had her in my life. And what's wild is that 2 years ago, summer of 2023, when I was meditating, I just saw her. I connected with her spiritually. And she told me that we should start saying goodbye. And it didn't make sense to me because she was a healthy cat. But now I get it. It was my 2 final years with her. And it's just crazy. The void that she has left is unbearable. And with that being said, I also just want to emphasize how important it is to adopt pets and not buy them. I don't want to sound judgmental, but I really don't understand how people can justify buying a certain breed or, a dog or a cat because they look a certain way when you know that you can change an animal's life by adopting it. I just don't I don't know how people justify that to themselves. And I just really hope that if you're listening and if you're thinking about getting a pet, adopt. It's the least you can do for animals. And I don't think you should have a pet if you're just getting a pet because of the way they look like or whatever. It just doesn't make sense. And whatever you're looking for in a pet, you can find at a shelter. You can find a puppy. You can find a hypoallergenic dog. You can find whatever you're looking for at a shelter. You don't have to buy a pet. With that being said, let's start this episode. I just feel really sad today, so it's going to be difficult for me to get through it, but I also know that I meant to record this episode today. Someone once told me that human lives are worth more than animal lives, and it made me pause. Why do so many people hold that belief? So, in this episode, I really want to talk about why I share such a deep connection with animals and how that made me choose a vegan lifestyle. I just want to speak about my experiences with this, and I'm not trying to preach, but I do hope that what I say in this episode helps inspire people to make more ethical choices and to treat animals better. This is something that I rarely talk about. I'm not the type of vegan who likes to preach or tell people what they should and shouldn't eat. I don't want to guilt someone into choosing a vegan lifestyle because as someone who loved meat and animal products, I know that it needs to come from deep within. So instead, I like putting my energy into proving that ethical, cruelty-free chocolate can be just as good as dairy chocolate. And I really want to create change by showing the positive aspects of choosing an ethical, cruelty-free lifestyle. But with that being said, I see more and more content about people choosing animal-based diets or carnivore diets, and I see so many vegan companies go bankrupt. I see so many vegan products being taken off the shelves and people talking about how the trend of veganism is declining. And to me, that's heartbreaking because it shouldn't be a trend. To me, it's a lifestyle, and I just feel like if we want to be operating at a frequency of love, it doesn't really make sense to consume suffering and contribute to suffering in the world. Now, I've always loved animals, like absolutely loved animals. I've grown up with animals and I've had cats and rabbits and rats and everything you can imagine. And so when I was a child, I found it a bit disturbing to have meat. Quite frankly, I was disgusted by it, but I heard everyone tell me that I needed it, so I started to dissociate. And that made it easier for me to eat meat because I wasn't thinking of what it was. And so as a teenager, I really loved meat and animal products. Like steak was my favorite food. And a lot of people around me, like my sister, started going vegan, and I just felt so much resistance towards it. I was telling myself, I was trying to justify eating animal products, and I was telling myself it's too difficult to go vegan. And I also didn't really, I love food as well, and I felt like I would lose a part of my culture if I chose a vegan lifestyle. And I didn't want to do that because food was such a big part of my life, and that love for food, I didn't want to give certain foods up. So I really tried to numb myself, and whenever, people were showing me clips of slaughterhouses or farms, I would just be like, I don't want to see this. And I saw the food that I was buying as, a piece of chicken, a chicken breast, food, a steak. I wasn't seeing it as the animal. And I think that's what a lot of people do. I don't think that people are horrible and walk around thinking that they're consuming, really cute animals. I think we've just learned that it's normal to eat those foods. So I just really refused to become vegan, and we're selfish as people, right? And I didn't want to make that compromise. I just didn't want it. But my love for animals was also a really big part of my life, and deep down inside, I felt so guilty, and that's why I felt so much resistance towards it, because the guilt would have been overwhelming. But then one day, I literally just woke up, and I was like, I will never, ever be able to consume animal products again. I didn't become vegetarian first. I just knew, I will never put any animal product into my body. I don't want to contribute to that suffering, and I knew that I didn't want to put that suffering into my body. And it was just crystal clear to me, and after that day, I never ate animal products to my knowing at least. Again, I just went vegan, and it came from such a deep spiritual place. And I mean, I will never start eating meat or animal products again after having that realization. And when it clicked, it really clicked. I didn't really see much content on the meat industry and what was going on behind closed doors. I didn't really need that, because I just knew that, like, I just felt so much love for animals, and I just knew that I would never be able to eat them. But the thing is that there is a deeper truth to the meat industry, to the milk industry, and closing our eyes to that is wrong. We can keep telling ourselves that there are ethical ways of consuming meat and dairy and eggs and animal products, that, some cows actually get to go out. But the truth is that we are still taking a life. And quite frankly, like, think about it. It doesn't make sense that treating live creatures as products that cannot be ethical in any way. That doesn't make sense. They're not products. They're living sentient beings. So you're going to kill them anyways. You're going to turn them into steak anyways. And there's really no way to do that ethically, especially not on a larger scale. I mean, to me personally, there's no way of, like, ethically taking the life of another being because you want to consume their meat because you think it tastes nice, when there are so many other alternatives. But with that being said, like, how can you tell yourself that industries with live animals can be ethical, because they really can't, and those industries should not exist? And the deeper truth behind all of this is that there is so much that is so wrong in this industry. If we take the milk industry as an example, cows are artificially inseminated for us to get milk from them. Calves are separated from their mothers in order for us to drink their milk. Like, if you say that out loud to yourself, does it make sense? I don't think it does. We are literally the only animals on the planet that drink another animal's breast milk. I have a very difficult time understanding how that can even be good for us. But I'm not even going to go into that. It is just so ethically wrong. And closing our eyes to that deeper truth is taking a step away from love. And I stand by that. And with that being said, I hold no judgment towards people who consume animal products. And I completely understand them, because I've been there. But what I find very difficult is when people claim to be awakened, or claim to have opened their eyes, and claim to operate from a frequency of love, when they're still eating animal products and meat. It just doesn't make sense to me, because there's no way that we can justify killing a 6-month-old piglet because we think it tastes good. It's not something that we need. They're living sentient beings. They are innocent. They haven't done us any harm, and they're just brought up into complete misery. And we keep justifying that, saying that we need to consume them, when in truth we don't. And as humans, we have ruined this planet. We don't care about the environment. We don't care about other living beings. We start wars. We hate each other. We kill each other. We rape each other. And we think that our lives are worth more than theirs. I really cannot have that make sense in my head. I can't. The truth is that our planet is dying. The truth is that we've turned living sentient beings into products and industries, and we still seem to think that we have a greater worth. Now, I'm going to share an opinion that some of you might find controversial, but I really don't care, because I believe it to be true. I believe that suffering, pain, and cruelty is all connected. If we normalize and justify the torture of some creatures, there's nothing really stopping us from inflicting that pain and torture onto each other. And I think that if we want to eradicate all pain and suffering, we need to take a stance against it on all levels. Operating from love doesn't mean that we just choose to operate from love when we feel like it and choose to be selfish when we don't feel like it. It means loving all living beings and realizing that they have the same worth that we do. Now, I really hope that this episode made sense. I found it very difficult to record this episode because my energy, I'm just filled with grief right now. But I felt like I wanted to make an episode like this because I care deeply about animals and I really want to put an end to the suffering and pain that they are going through. And whether you're vegan or not, I just hope that after listening to this episode, you can really reflect on what our world would look like if we truly lived from love in all of our choices. I'm sorry for being really low energy today, but it's just hard. And this was a hard episode to record and everything. It just feels really weird right now. But thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you next time.